We are delighted to have Dr. Preetha Anil joining us on EduTalks, and in this last hours of Grade 10 board exams, she's sharing some valuable insights with students. So let's get started.
Hello to Dr. Preetha. Thank you so much for joining us again on EduTalks. And today I would like to ask you a few questions related to grade 10 science exams. And my very first question to you is like your students are appearing for their board exams and they'll be appearing it for the very first time. So how you are helping them in preparing during these final days?
Yeah. For class 10 science, portions again are very limited, not much to study. And since in my case, I have been preparing the students right from the year, and we have already done multiple revisions, 4 to 5 to 6 rounds of revision we have done in organic as well as physical chemistry plus physics and biology. Almost like we have watered it down, and children are almost by heart. Every time I ask a question, the whole class will erupt in unison to answer it. So in my case, it is more or less done. Now, this is because all the children here have been studying from the very beginning throughout the year. Each and everything was like almost by hearted. So it's not a big task at all. Now, there are some weak students also. They will be in all classes who need to really work. And for them, the last hour work is what is more important than the whole year. So different kinds of students, different kinds of preparation methods. So overall, what I do is all those who are done, they can just revise at home. But weak students, we have individual classes with each one focusing on their weak points, guiding them along. Mainly, every preparation should happen by writing. If you're writing an equation or solving a numerical, use your hand to do it, because more than brain memory, hand memory also works. So something you forget, you will remember you have written it by your own hand. So in 10th class, we focus more on writing.
What makes science easy or difficult for the students?
See, I would say if you understand the basics, right from vocabulary onwards, the science language, the physics language, the language of bio, each of the science stream or any other subject has got its own language. And you have to master that language. That happens from reading the textbook. Many children don't read the textbook. That is a very big negative. You have to read the lesson very nicely. And always when you're reading, so that you're all five senses. I tell my children, reading is not an individual task that you are just focusing somewhere and loudly reading out so your parents can hear that you're studying. Not like that. When you're reading, you speak it out with your tongue, hear it through your ears, write that when you're important points. Your notebook should always be open when you're even reading important words or spellings which are difficult. Write it down. So you're touching the paper, you're touching the pen. All five senses are involved. Some children are very taste. I said some books smell this thing. When you have water in your table, you're drinking the water. That memory all plays together. At that moment of time, I was reading this thing. I found it difficult. The glass fell down. Such memories help you in mind map creation. Sometimes, in the exam hall, this difficult reaction which you're trying to master, you'll remember some incident connected to it. That immediately brings, okay, that was the reaction which I was writing. So you cannot always have, a mundane kind of a study. All the five senses work together. And that happens when you're writing. So it's very organic way of learning. You are entirely involved in the process. So just reading the book is not enough. Underline. Your book at the end of the year should look like it is almost in a dilapidated condition, because you have devoured the knowledge in the book and made it yours. A book which is as good as new, nothing has been gained out of it. That is what I believe.
So, grade 10 CBSE science syllabus comprises chemistry, physics, biology, everything. So, what students should do when they are finding one particular part very difficult? Let's talk about physics for some or for chemistry for someone. How they can make it, simpler to learn.
See, the thing becomes simpler. As I told you, the first thing is understanding. If you cannot understand, there is no point in going ahead. So unless and until you understand that, and use the teacher. You didn't understand, go and ask. Have the courage to ask. Some people don't ask. Teacher can understand whether the child is able to understand or not. But then always clear the confusion first. then write it down, then revise it. After 2 days, come back and revisit whether you remember that thing or not. In class 10th, the first chapter of chemistry is chemical reactions and equations. It is all reactions, but to write a reaction, you first need to know the formula of the compounds. And that formula making had studied in class 9th. But many children will say ninth was an online class. We don't remember what happened that time. So write that table, memorize it every day morning when you get up, early morning to study, and you have a glass of lukewarm water to drink with the 5 or 10 minutes of pranayam done. When you sit to study, the first thing which you do is writing down the valency table. So you remember the four cations and anions, how to cross multiply them to make a compound. And if you know the formula of the compound, chemical reaction balancing becomes very easy. So that comes from the basic. So I always tell, if the basic foundation is strong, anything can be built on top of it. If your basic foundation itself is weak, there is no point in going advanced or studying anything more out of that. So understanding first is important, and when understanding is complete, subject will automatically be the best for you. You will like it, you will love it. Fall in love with the subject before falling in love with anything else in this world. And that makes things very passionate.
So, in this final days of revision, what should be the strategy for them? I have seen two types of students. Some students would always revise the things which they already know and then leave the difficult ones aside, or vice versa. So, what is the correct method here?
I would say first to get rid of the difficult things. That means you learn that one first. The one which you really don't like, that should be handled first. So that you give time to that, because it is difficult because you're having some problem in understanding that. So get it cleared, master that first, and then easy ones you have enough time to do that. You don't need much time for that. So anything you don't like, you cannot say, I don't like the subject, so I don't want to study. No, that doesn't work out. You have to invest time, energy, and attention to get that thing done. Write it down, revise it after 2 days, back, come back again and see whether you remember. Then go to the thing. Always do everything. Even some portions are not there, I would say this is needed for the next year. Don't just skip it. We need to study that also. Maybe that is needed for some other basic building or foundation building thing. So we don't skip anything, study everything. NCRT book from front to back page entirely should be done. That is one of the best books I have seen. It's written in a very simple to complex manner. So start from the beginning to the end, everything should be covered. Don't skip anything in between.
When students give their board 10th exam, it is for the very first time they are appearing for the board exams, and sometimes subjects like mathematics and science, many students find it very difficult. So what would be your advice on that? How should they gain that confidence in studying the subjects?
Practice is the only key. Practice, practice, practice. And maths, as you mentioned, maths exam is last is this time. It is on 27th of March, I guess, the last exam to happen. But even then, we don't want to forget it completely. In between, all the important exams are coming up. So why not give 2 hours every day? Even social studies you're studying, but let us do early morning 5 to 7, 2 hours of math practice. It is taken care of. Then we focus on social throughout the day. So by the time we reach the end of the month and we have the last exam waiting up, which is mathematics, we still remember a lot of things because you have been continuously practicing. Practice is the only thing which makes you perfect. Some people might be more talented than you, but hard work has never gone unnoticed. It will always bring results in the end. Even not today, tomorrow, one day it will come. And basic building process is always in the long run. It always stays with you. So practice, practice, practice. Nothing more than that.
Could you please tell us something about the question paper pattern in grade 10th science?
Science. As of now, we have 18 one-mark questions in section A. That is mostly multiple choice questions, and that is where the children need to score. All the 18 questions, if you can get it correct, that 18 marks guarantees that remaining paper, even if you do little that side, it will give you enough marks for that. And there are 4 case study-based questions, which again has sub-questions, 1 mark or 2 mark. So this year, most of the questions are with 1 mark. Almost 18 questions from A section, and 4 case study questions with 3 sub-questions is 12 almost. So 32 questions are there which are almost in 1 mark category. So that needs to be scored. So you need to have an in-depth study of the textbook. If your textbook, every solved question in text question which is given inside the textbook, you should read it, understand it, and learn it. That will give you in-depth understanding of how to solve 1 mark questions. Rest short answer, descriptive children can manage. Even if it is a 4 mark, 3 mark question, you can definitely write. And I would advise the students always to write everything. Don't skip anything. Attempt every question. There is no point in leaving. We don't have any negative marking. So even little bit, write it down. You will get some marks there in the 2 mark or 3 mark or 4 mark sections. But 1 mark we need to score. That is a main priority.
So sometimes while writing the exams or after finishing the exam, students would feel that, oh, I misunderstood this question, I knew the answer, or I misinterpreted it. So in what cases this kind of things happen and how students should be careful about it?
See, this happens mostly when last minute preparations. You have not seen that topic or that chapter throughout the year. 2 days before you are taking the book, okay, this is left for me to study. That should not happen. Even now it has happened, only 2 days are left. So March 4th is our 10th science exam. So we have enough days to catch up on that. But always take it as a learning lesson that next time I should not repeat this. I should be well prepared. 1 month before, you should mark in the calendar how many days I have, how many days. Yeah, the preparation should start in your mind, and physically you should note it down. The best way to do it is on a calendar. These many days I'm going to devote this thing, this I have to be done. That means 2 weeks before the final exam is going to start, you are completely revised at least twice. Then the last minute revision is not a big burden at all. Even see, sickness and all these things doesn't plan. You cannot plan that you're going to be sick or it will happen. Sometimes, suppose before the exam you're not well, something happened. It should not happen that just because of 2 or 3 days of sickness you couldn't write the exam properly. Nobody can do anything for that. So we cannot risk like that. So we have to be prepared well in advance, and it should be a learning lesson throughout the life. Always be prepared. Don't wait for it to happen and then start digging the well.
So what are the common mistakes that students are making while writing their exam?
Mostly one 10th class and 9th class students paper presentation is not neat. Handwriting is a big problem. Handwriting needs to be really understandable, like it should be legible, it should be easy enough to read for the person who is checking it, the invigilator who is checking it. You make it difficult for him, the marks may not be the way you have expected, because we struggle to check the paper. So handwriting, presentation of the paper, avoid cutting. Don't do the cutting. Cutting means you are confused, you don't know the answer. So read the question, be very clear what it is asking, and when you write down, you're already organized in your thoughts what you're going to write. After writing, don't cut, and that is a very bad thing. So that also should practice happen at home, that how to write the paper. Before the exam, 3 or 4 papers should be solved at home, and when you're solving such papers at home, take the time as 10:30 to 1:30. So you know when the clock hand is going at 11 o'clock, I have reached this much portion of the A section. That practice works wonders when you're doing the actual paper in the exam hall, because yeah, half an hour this much I've done, I have enough time to complete the paper. Or where you're lagging behind or not able to do properly, you can manage your time there. So that practice should happen at home. Whatever you do at home, that is what you're going to present it to in the exam hall. So practice is the again the key thing over here. Messy paper doesn't merit anything, so don't make cuttings or messy. Keep neat, and the answer should be really visible properly.
Many times, what I have observed with the students is they know the answer, they have so many things in their mind, but the moment they start writing the answers, no, they are not able to frame it properly, and it completely, sometimes it doesn't even make sense, or it messes up their answers and all. So how they can overcome of this thing?
See, 3 marks or 5 mark sections, it's always best to write it in points. And when you write the points, you should already be prepared that what is the priority points that should come first. Most important points should come first. And big questions always better to write in point wise answer, because that one line will get this much marks. So overall, writing then in better than writing in paragraphs is build it up points. And again, the practice should happen at home. You cannot sit in the exam hall or similar to that. Once you have mastered the textbook properly, any one question bank can help you to know what type of questions are going to come, how is this topic going to be asked. So you have to answer to the point. The way question is asked, begin your answer like that. Some children really have the knowledge of putting the answer in a proper manner. Some people are weak in language or how to convey the meaning of that answer. For that, textbook reading is the only solution. You need to know the words to put in that answer. Key words are essential. Some questions, even if you've written some lengthy paragraph, but the keywords are missing, you will lose marks. So keywords, what When we read the book, we underline. That word should stay in your mind. And that should be put up in the answer sheet when you're writing the answers.
Yeah, I know a student, who has been working really, really hard since the beginning of the year, and he is giving his 100%. But whenever the result comes, we always say that he's not able to score the desired marks. So, what is the problem here? What is stopping him from scoring those marks?
See, like that, I also have some cases here where we always figure out what is wrong. It's not where he is losing marks. He has written everything. He is studying also. He is every day putting in time. But when the results come, no, it is not satisfactory. There could be multiple reasons for that. One, you are not answering the way the question has been asked. You have written everything, but there is nothing of substance in that answer. So one, that proper answering is not there. Second, you are completely off the tangent. You have answered something which has not been asked because you don't know what exactly the key points are. That is lack of knowledge. And that will happen only when you master the theory or the subject of that lesson. So even before proper studying to happen or writing the answers, textbook reading to get the entire what exactly is there. And in that cases in class 10th, reference books are a very good help, which has detailed pictures a little bit more than what is given in the NCERT book. That little bit more makes you understand and grasp the whole thing in one complete this thing. Instead of studying individual topics, we can get that chapter as a overall idea what it is and then frame answers based on that. In class 10th biology, many times I have seen when we talk about the reproduction chapter, describe double fertilization or why we call it as double fertilization. Similarly, there is one question in life processes. Why is circulation in human beings known as double circulation? Double and double this word. There is some meaning why it is called double. Even after explaining 10 to 15 times, many children don't even grasp what happened there. Double fertilization means there are two types of fertilization taking place in one process, like syngamy and triple fusion. What does syngamy lead to? What does triple fusion lead to? So when you write it on the board, explain the child also has to put in some effort to understand. It doesn't happen that I have told once and you have already absorbed it. You have to make an effort to understand, absorb, read it, write it, and after revise it. So we always say that listening only gives you a certain percentage. When you go home and write it down little bit more, you have absorbed. But next day when you get up and revise again, almost 75% you have got it. After 2 days, read it again, write it down, 100% you have absorbed it. But just by listening to an eminent professor one time, you don't learn everything. You have to go through the process, and that process is experience. And experiences can be bad as well as good. Bad experience lead to more experiences that will ultimately give you success. But persistence is the key. You need to be there. You cannot just I say this is not happening, I'm not able to do it. No, it will take time, but eventually you will get it. My example would be better. I tell my children I'm the dumbest in mathematics. I never knew how to get mathematics proper. But 25 years, 12 years, which I've been struggling. 12, I completed my biochemistry PhD long back and coming back and teaching school kids after leaving the job as assistant professor just because I want to improve the basics of students. Let it be mathematics, let it be science, or let it be language, even Sanskrit. To tell you frankly, I started my institute with Sanskrit, 10th class
Hmm.
Sanskrit, where you need to know the meaning of each word to get the sentence meaning proper. Vocabulary from where it starts. So when you read or learn something like that, you can put that into any subject you want. That falling in love again. When you talk fluently in English, you know the next word you are going to speak, you know the meaning. So word to word to word sentences and the language builds up. Same thing should happen in every area. Learn the basics, learn the words, learn the spellings, understand the meaning, then go to the theory. So it takes time. So ninth, 10th is practice time for the children. But by the time you step into 11th, you know where you're going to and what is the foundation has been laid. Let us build on that. Your individual effort also matters. It's not only the teacher or the school or the parent, the child himself or herself has to get involved. I guess
So
that's it.
I really appreciate your answer that working on basics and individual efforts. These two are the key points that each and every student should follow to excel the subjects. Next question I have little off the track. See, when the students will clear their 10th board exams and they have to choose the streams, like it's humanity, science, or commerce. There is one scenario where student is good with science and maths, but he or she has not scored so well, and still the student feels that he or she has inclination towards science stream. So what should they decide in this case? Should they go ahead with the science, or they should see their marks and they should go for the different stream?
See, I'll tell you frankly, 10th is too early to decide a subject. Too early. Yeah, you have to choose a subject for 11, that is true. But no, even if your marks are slightly bad at maths or science, no, don't let it go. Till 12, persist with it. Because by 12th, you get a more clearer picture, even if you're so bad at that, or you can excel in that. Give yourself 2 more years. There's nothing wrong. I always tell my students that even if you don't like mathematics, you're not able to do, mathematics you can really decide whether you want to go to engineering side or not, so decide on that. But all other subjects you need to be there with you till class 12th. Study with the main five subjects, that is chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics and English. These five subjects should be there with you. If you want to change maths because you have no idea about it or you don't want to go to that field, then skip maths. But all other subjects, because all these subjects together help you to understand which field you really want to go. If you skip maths in class 10th itself or physics or chemistry, you have already shut down one door. We cannot use that again. By 12th, let it be matured enough. Okay, marks will be slightly less, no problem. But you're still experimenting, you are going ahead. You will pass more than average marks. We are not aiming to be the topper of every exam or anything, fine. But after 12th, you have a more clearer picture with the five subjects in hand where actually you want to go to. That will open more doors for you and you can clearly choose. 10th is too early. I would tell parents also, if math and science marks is a little less, if the child wants to, encourage him to go ahead. Don't skip and put him in humanities or commerce or anything. If he's not born for that, let him 2 more years you give him to understand. After that, you can take a decision.
Before completing this conversation, I would like you to give us, one short brief of do's and don'ts of grade 10 science exam. If we can just sum it up, like what are the do's that students who follows and what are the don'ts they should avoid?
Okay, do's is always study, 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 but quality study. You follow the same routine you have been following since the whole year. Since it is exam, don't go overboard and skip on food or sleep or anything. No, normal lifestyle you lead the way you have been leading till now. Don't do any drastic changes because it is not going to help. So follow the same lifestyle you're having. Do the same early morning routine. Get up early morning. Sleep early. Don't study way into the night. Sleep is as much essential for you to perform better in the examination than sleeplessness. That is going to make things bad. You may not be able to judge properly. You may not be able to write the answer properly. If you skip on sleep, that is one important thing. And throughout the day, keep drinking water. When you are at home, use the bathroom frequently. But in exam hall also, have a water bottle and sip. Don't drink too much. Keep sipping in between the writing sessions. That will keep you hydrated. Your brain will work properly. And never, ever, ever panic. The don't is only don't panic at all. Even if you have butterfly feeling in the stomach, still anxiety is there, your heartbeat is going faster, take a moment, relax, 3, 4 deep breaths, calm yourself because you need that energy to go on. This is not the time to take a flight or run away. You have to be there, solid, grounded, and calm breathing is the only way to remain calm and focused. So leave it to God. You have done your part. Now leave it to Him. Everything will be right. And this is not the end of it. We have 2 more years to write. So we'll do better next year. What's the problem? No problem. You all of you will pass. I'm 100% sure of that. The year has not been wasted at all. You have put in some work. That is more than enough to take you through to 11th and 12th. We will do whatever else is lacking here in 11th and 12th.
Dr. Pritha, you have been a wonderful source of motivation also. And I can see that, your students are not just getting the subject knowledge from you, but they are getting to know so many things about, their life and daily routines. And all these things are also
It
equally
matters.
important. Yes. So thank you so much for giving us this time and helping us in understanding all the subjects, knowledge, and everything. And I'm sure this will be helpful to all the students.
Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity to. I could connect with a large number of students, and I tell each and every student just write the exam, be optimistic about it, take it as a challenge of your life, and perform it to the best of your knowledge. Give it your 100%. Even if it doesn't come back as 100%, no matter, we have gained enough knowledge to go to the next year. So we will do much better next year. So all the best to all of you. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.